almost all of us were in one space. So one of the things I've realized with this movement of ours is that we are too quick to pull each other down and very slow to prop each other up. So people realize that the quickest way to finish these guys is just throw meat at them, and they will watajikula wao wenyewe. So that's the reason I didn't give that thing much. For one, anyone right now who's a blogger for government today was in State House. Me, I'm still in my business. You can hear music on the background. But we've mastered that art of bringing each other down. And we need to stop it. But it's not something I give much ado about. I think when I decided to bring people, to try and bring people in one platform, we formed a Telegram group called the Kenya We Want. It has 997 people. So it fluctuates between 1,000 and 997. I am not the leader of it. It is a totally autonomous Telegram page. I participate in all platforms. In fact, I came to this platform because I wanted that addressed. So this is what I'll tell people. If you think, or if you associate how a person talks, and you say this person talks like a government person, it is known. And people who represent government don't hide. Those are what is the name of this kid? Keegan. Keegan doesn't hide. Because that is JT, your job description. Okay? So why wasn't I in State House today? If I work for Gava? That's the question people need to ask themselves.
Lakini Anto kutuambia eti hukukuwa State House sasa namaanisha wewe si government blogger is like me kukuambia eti kwa vile leo sijafungua home run mimi si host home run.
Okay.
Give
the
us a
person
better
who said that,
argument.
Did they give I read that message.
Just tell us you're not that or that. You're storing because we do not have any way of proving it. Okay, that is the same way we did with the because even if to says it,
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
just
not.
that.
And someone who said that should not only say it, they should substantiate it.
Higher, but when the substantiating time will come. I just wanted to put it to your attention that somebody has put it to my attention. That kwamba eti
I do what?
Nasema sai substantiating ikikuja itakuja. Unajua when the receipts are dropping, but kama kuna mtu anaangusha receipts, that is why I'm not even pursuing that story any further. Yeah, sure. Now, I don't know if you have a point on this issue, Raila to AUC or the NYS arms training that we have today.
Now, I think Raila has never understood how he gets confused. When the 207 happened, in the book, Kibaki said something. He said, if you give Raila a rope that is long enough, he'll eventually hang himself. So Raila has mastered the art of hanging himself. So Kitambo, when Raila used to disrupt government, they would bring him in. Mo is the one who discovered, if you bring Raila into government, he will stop being a problem to you. So he will let you run your own things. Hata kusumbua. So Moi figured out that anytime Raila is outside government, all he needs is 2 escort cars, na atanyamaza. You can do whatever you want to the country, so long Raila is sorted. Kibaki perfected it. Kibaki figured out that the only way to make this guy allow us to, or not to make, the only way to make Raila abandon his work as the leader of opposition is loop him in. So they said, you know what, bringing him, let Raila ndani, give him a chase cars and some motorbikes, give him a carpet, he'll shut up. Now, iye kafika mahali, when Uhuru did the handshake, he realized that Raila was still stubborn. So what did he do? Akamtafutia job AU, infrastructure. Kenyans should not forget that this seat we are doing right now, we tried it with Amina Mohammed. We spent a hell lot of money. Now, Ruto is the president. So Ruto does not need to reinvent the wheel. The only thing Ruto needs to do is occupy Raila, and he has done that for 1 year. So now from September, Raila will be in Ethiopia trying to get the AU seat. I don't think he will succeed because out of all the people who had endorsed him, only presidents from East Africa showed up. So Djibouti was not there, Eritrea was not there, Ethiopia was not there. So only East African leaders came through. It's basically a way to preoccupy Raila. So Raila utaka tu apreoccupaiwe na apewe cheska. If you give Raila those two things, cheska, access to the presidential pavilion when he comes, and you give him VIP treatment, Raila will never ever serve the people. That has been his MO from way back. Now, about the NYS thing. When the NYS was formed, it was supposed to be a transition where young people used to get out from Form 4 wanaenda polisi ama jeshi. So we ended up, guys were like, okay, tuko na wase wengi sana nje, jobless. So we formed the NYS, the National Youth. So these guys were supposed to be doing road repairs, helping in cleaning of the river, what Kibaki used to do with them. Then, during that training of DC military training, they would transition. They would be the first people considered if people kuna intake ya polisi na jeshi na wase wa baharini. And it was done, it was made a law. Now, we have NYS who have received all the training of the military, but cannot handle a weapon. And I think one thing Kenyans need to appreciate is that all governments worldwide take defense of the nation seriously. In fact, in all governments, it's the biggest budget in all the governments, including Bahrain and including Qatar, countries that have never gone to war. So NYS being trained, eventually these people have military training. The only thing they don't have is weapons. Personally, I don't see the issue because a majority of them, close to 90%, were absorbed into the military and the Kenya police and the Navy at some point. So for me, I don't have an issue because Uganda, I've been to Uganda, Wochi wanagan, anakwanga amefanya hiyo training. So I don't think why we think these people will turn on us. I'm not sold on them turning on us. That's just it.
Right. Okay, thank you for that, Anthony. I want to go to Western Shilaho. How are you doing, Western?
I'm okay, Pipi. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Fantastic. Great to hear that. Greetings to your listenership, Pipi. One thing I wish to say is that, it's very interesting when you hear, we invoking the American Constitution, or we borrowed heavily from the American Constitution, what have you, blah, blah, blah. Kim, who spoke earlier, actually the American Constitution, and if you are to tell Kenyans, they would look at you aghast. The American Constitution, that thing he was talking about called the Second Amendment. The right to bear arms. What it does, effectively, it gives the American citizens the right to arm themselves and form a militia against their government if it turns rogue. That's actually what it means. That's why that amendment is so sacrosanct in the American society. And no president has ever come, even with whatever intentions, has addressed the gun issue in the US. Can't. It's just there staring at you like a lamppost. So which brings me to the Kenyan situation. Why would the Kenyan security apparatus be highly militarized? Because the formation of the National Youth Service did not have militarization in mind. It wasn't. It was about discipline, Before, that was a requirement for people before they joined university. That was the requirement. They joined the National Youth Service, and what was it? They would get some skills and what have you, and discipline, if you like. Now, suddenly out of the blue, these young people are supposed to be trained in how to bear arms. And Anthony, I will tell you, in politics, nothing is by happenstance. Nothing. Decisions are not like thumbsuck. They're not. It's always deliberate. And it's usually down the road when, with the benefit of hindsight, is when now you try to make sense of what that decision was all about. It's not, like, certainly how? Why would you do that? If the police are not enough, you recruit more police. If the army people are not enough, you recruit more army people. So which takes me back to Kim, what Kim was saying, and another speaker, didn't get what Kim was saying because they thought Kim was invoking, ethnic politics. No, Kim said, in Kenya, there's no procedure on how people are recruited in the security apparatus. For instance, would you say, let's say, Luos who are representing the police force or in the army or whatever, the people are there proportional to the percentage of the Luo people demographically in Kenya, or Turkana, or Kamba? No, it doesn't follow. It does. So what does it mean? It means some areas are more represented in the security apparatus, and that has been the case since independence. So that's fact. It's not like Kim was saying something that doesn't exist. And why it's important to raise these issues, because we're fighting against these issues. So you can't be fighting against things that you are scared of mentioning. You can't find a cure to a disease if you don't identify what it is. So that is the case. And when Kim says these people could easily be turned into a militia, oh yeah. What do you call a police that is unleashed against defenseless and armless protesters? That police immediately turns into a militia. It's no longer people who are trained, are professional, and are securing the lives and property of the citizenry. They are a militia. When you spray people with bullets on the streets, you're no longer police. Because police are professional. They know what to do when they bear firearms. So it's not, that when these issues are raised, people are funding the embers of ethnicity. They are actually appreciating where we're coming from and the reason why we have to confront those demons. Going into 2027, if you're listening to those politicians aligned to William Ruto, if you're listening to them, they're forming an ethnic coalition in the run-up to 2027. Or we're not watching what they're doing, are we? That's what they're doing. You remember Simba Arati, Governor of Kisii, saying the other day that William Ruto should hand over that position to who? Did you hear? Did you listen? To the Western region. Western region is, that part from, Kakamega, Nyanza, Kisii. He said it. You think it was idle talk? And this is the politics we're confronting. And if you want to do that kind of politics, you resort to violence to suppress people. Yeah, because you're no longer conducting a politics on issues, cross-cutting issues. You are no longer conducting a politics on transformative agenda. You're not. It's about securing your interests and the interests of your cronies. And what do? And then whip up ethnic sentiment. So why wouldn't you, suddenly militarize the NYS? Why wouldn't you do that? So it's important that we see what's going on and the pronouncements that are taking place so that we are not caught off guard when these things unravel down the line. About the Constitution, PP, I've heard it time and again, it being said that William Ruto has no regard for the Constitution because he didn't vote for it. He didn't campaign for it. One, people, when there is a referendum, you have a constitutional right to decide either way. You can support it or you can oppose it. I think it's a constitutional right, honestly. So he is not defying the rule of law because he did not campaign for it. Even if he had campaigned for it, I can guarantee he would still have defied it. Why? Because Kibaki campaigned for it and he defied it. Raila Odinga today, who was being, launched for the AU Commission chair, he campaigned for it. He defies it. He does. Uhuru Kenyatta campaigned for it. He defied it. Contravened so many court orders. Why? Because this constitution was imposed to them by the people of Kenya. They didn't like it. They didn't want it. And that's why they have completely abrogated it at every given turn. They didn't want it. Yes, it was an imposition by the people of Kenya, and the realization that continued operating under the old constitution was likely to plunge Kenya into an unmitigated civil war. Reading from the lesson of 2007, early 2008. So they had no choice. They hadn't. So let's not blame him because of in one way or the other. You have a constitutional right when there's a referendum, when there's an election, to vote for this candidate and not that other candidate, honestly. Let's not, as revolutionaries that we claim to be, insist on monolithism. Monolithism is where people think alike. There's uniformity. We must celebrate dissent. And we'll fault you on the basis of your morality, your ethics, and your actions, not on the basis of the decisions you made, which were and are guaranteed under the Constitution. No one who voted for Raila Odinga had a better choice than somebody who voted for William Ruto during last elections. Each had their own choice, to each their own. That's democracy. But when we insist that people should think like us, behave like us, accept our choices, that's autocracy. It's tyranny. It's fascism. I promise you. We must accommodate dissent to move forward. Going to, as I land on the Raila Odinga AU chair, commission chair, candidature. Well, what are its benefits to Kenya? Zilch, zero. Zilch, zero. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The money that you are seeing being spent on campaigns and lobbying and shuttle diplomacy, whatever they call it, moving around African countries, lobbying those presidents, those things are usually about checkbook diplomacy. Sometimes for you to command enough votes, you have to grease the elbows of some of those people. Checkbook diplomacy. So the Kenya taxpayer is really, picking the tab. And it's a heavy one, I promise you. And what are we getting in return? Nothing. Just if you happen to get elected, a big platform, New York, meeting, heads of state and government, that kind of thing. Nothing else. And he has realized that going forward, he doesn't stand a chance as far as the local politics is concerned. He doesn't. Even if he wasn't William Ruto's lucky, if he had stood against him, he wouldn't have beaten him. So this is a soft landing. And then in sunset and retirement, he can say, I held a position as AU Commission Chair. That is it. Not much. But it's the disregard for the rule of law, the continuation of the disregard for the rule of law, because it really dips into the taxpayers' coffers. Lots of money is continuously being spent, and for causes that really have zero impact on the lives of the people of Kenya, other than just, padding the egos of the political elite and helping the political elite to form alliances and retain power and continue subjugating the people of Kenya in going into the future. So that's the most unfortunate thing. And we must know these things. What's going on? About the law, the constitution, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we have a constitution worth writing home about. Honestly, we don't. Because this constitution, once you knock off chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, which was killed in 2013, when Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto were elected, despite facing charges at the ICC. Dead in the water, chapter 6, dead in the water. We try to research it, CPR, we're performing, but it's not coming to life. I don't know what we're going to do. On Bill of Rights, you can see continuously people are being killed, and somebody was talking about, was it Anthony, about bodies lying in the city morgue. I mean, in a constitutional democracy, nobody should be lying in a morgue. For what? From where? Who is responsible? Honestly. Why? Who is responsible? Who are the people who killed these bodies? Who are the people? Who are the murderers? We don't know. They will be disposed of. Just what we call paupers burials. paupers burials, people who are unidentified, no relatives, no what. Dehumanized in life and in death. What constitution will we talk about vis-a-vis that? The doctrine of separation of powers, the president, executive, the legislature, the judiciary. Well, blood, we don't know. Where does this begin and where does this end? The president is this omnipresent, big man politics. Political scientists refer to that. Is everything. Well, no, what is left of the constitution? A shell. A shell. Yeah, it's a shell. And in reality, actually, we have got two constitutions in Kenya, two sets of laws. One for the political elite, and the other for mere mortals, you and me. Yeah, when you break the law, it comes down heavily on you. When these other people break the law, well, they show everybody the middle finger, go to hell. What can you do? And that's why we have people who, in other jurisdictions, would be in jail, accused, prosecuted, and convicted for murder. We have those people in parliament, don't we? So we have nothing to celebrate about this constitution, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we don't. But what do? We will continue soldiering on, fighting. What can we lose? We can only lose our chains. We can only lose poverty. We can only lose inequalities. We can only lose these issues that make us really such an unstable society, teetering on the brink of political instability. We can only lose that. We can only gain social cohesion, something of a pan-Kenyan identity. Those are the things we'll gain. Solidarity going forward. Having something bordering on statehood, which we don't have. And those things, when we achieve them, will constitute the springboard for development and prosperity for everybody else. We can only lose brutality, police brutality. We can only lose corruption. We can only gain education and quality education for everybody. Food security, human security, not state-centric security that William Ruto is talking about. That arming of NYS is state-centric security, about control, about violence, about subjugation. We want human security. People feel at peace with themselves because they have got a hope about tomorrow, about next week, about next year, 5 years from now. They'll bequeath their children a functioning country. They don't have to worry. And Kenya that their grandchildren will inherit will be better than the Kenya they're living in now. That's what we're fighting for. It's not that people are getting old and they're worried what will become of their children and their children's children. So that's why this struggle is important. And since time immemorial, atavistic politics of corruption, brutality, violence has never prevailed against politics that is transformative, that centers human dignity, that is based on justice. It's never happened. So we will prevail against this incestuous political elite that is completely detached from the popular aspirations of the people of Kenya. Pipi, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Western Shilao gets us to 8 minutes past 6 p.m. East African time, ladies and gentlemen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Home Run with Pipi.
If you have gotten to this point, ladies and gentlemen, you have listened to about 2 hours of Home Run with Pipi. And of course, there's been a lot of things to talk about. And of course, kama kawaida mimi hapa hivi kwenye Home Run with Pipi ningependa kuambia kwamba show yetu ina run kutoka Monday mpaka Friday kutoka saa 10 hadi saa 3 usiku, yani 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African time, your time. So make sure you join us on X Spaces. We are on our journey to the second year of Home Run with Pipi, and also our family is growing, and that is why we have DK Gift, who is also our co-host here on the show. Make sure you follow him, and the way you also make sure you follow me as well. Also on Home Run with Pipi on Saturday, DK Gift brings you Home Run Extra from 8 p.m. all the way to midnight. Now, Home Run Pipi is also supported by you, the listener, the independence, so that tuache kuambiwa kwamba tunalipwa na serikali inatoka kwenu. If you like what I'm doing, of course, you can support the show. 0721948229 is the number where you send in your support. And of course, that is what keeps the lights running here on the studios and, of course, the Wi-Fi and everything else. Now, I want to get into my junction. Wacha kwanza nicheze jingle yangu ya junction.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the junction. So today I will start like this. Let me just start with this video that K24 have deleted. And you know, when you say ukidelete tuna repute, tit for tat.
Tukiwa hapa Joro tuwaeleze. Wafanye nini? Wacha hata kuweka sufuria kwa kichwa. Tunawaambia waweke nyungu. Waweke nyungu hata ikiwa na getheri. Hakuna mkate nusu. Na hakuna handshake. Na hakuna kitu watafanya.
That is actually K24.
Si mnajua hata hii barabara tulikuja tukaanzisha kule Captain, lakini ikakwama njiani kwa sababu ya kisirani ya handshake na ule mtu ati ule mtu anataka
Somebody is
handshake.
getting fired today.
Yani mimi nataka niwaulize mimi nataka niwaulize nyinyi, hata nyinyi mkinipima mimi ni mtu ya kubali mambo ya handshake kweli?
Hiyo mmependa sana hiyo.
Ladies and gentlemen, that skit was posted by K24 and then deleted. But of course, the masters of downloads were waiting in the sidelines to grab it. And they grabbed it indeed. And that is why we're having it now. Today's junction is going to be very different for me. I will start first by a story from my up country. So Palevi, I come from Kuria district. It used to be one district up until 2010, actually, when it was split into Kuria West and Kuria East. Now, if you know any Maasai who is from the Maasai Transmara side of the Maasai land, ask them about the Kuria people. I know many people always believe that the Kalenjin and the other people, and this looks like a tribal thing, but it's just something that I've grown up noticing. If there is one tribe that has been very rampant in showing the Maasai people dust, is the Abakuria. Yani wanasema kwamba hakuna mtu mwenye ni, unaona venye wanasema sijui wa Kisii sijui nini, they say Mkuria mwizi wa ng'ombe. Now, why am I telling you a tribal story in the middle of a very cosmopolitan space? Pipi! Now, let us get to the point. Now, uko hivi ushago kwetu in Kuria, the Maasai are known to be very fierce. Nikwambia wale watu wanapigana kama kasia. And this is not, this is a story I've been told, you know. It is a folklore that has been passed down. That there was an age our boys wanafika, the Koreans have to go to the other side of river, what we call now River Migori. You go around and go and take Maasai cows. Yeah? And of course, the Maasai are not going to give you those cows like cordially. They're not your friends. Yeah? So we are talking about cattle rustling. So many people know of cattle rustling in the in North Pokot, yeah, in West Pokot and all those areas where there is the Baragois of this country. But ladies and gentlemen, the rustling also that happens on that Kuria East Maasai border is of immense immense inaitwaje sasa amounts. Let me use the word amounts. So our boys realize that when they go to steal the cows, when they go aura for aura in terms of arrows with the Maasai, they used to kill a lot of our warriors. So enter the Kenya army. So what does the Kenya Army do for them? So there was this guy. I'm going to tell you the story of one guy who went to the army, took all that training, and on the first mission when he was given his machine gun, he walked from Nairobi, and I'm not even kidding, he walked from Nairobi to Kurialand with a gun. So he was the hitman of the cattle rustlers. So when they steal the cows, kuna bridge moja ulikuwa unapitia. So the Maasais would come, wana make sure wamewafikia hapo kabla wafike pale. And of course the police, the anti-stock theft police are waiting on them on the other side of the bridge. So this guy will tie himself on a tree with a machine gun and shoot everybody that is coming on after ng'ombe zimepita hivi. And before that alikuwa ameshapasha moto maaskari. So maaskari wako in hiding, ng'ombe zinakuja zinapita, alafu wanakuja sasa hao majamaa wa Masai wanarusha mishale and the guy is there. Anyway, as usual, metal meets metal. He was killed. Why am I telling you this story? The president said that he suggests that people get firearm training in the NYS. Back in Korea, because we are very few, you get that nearly every, especially Korea East, nearly every homestead, there is an army man. So I'm thinking now, in that homestead, there are people who go for NYS. So I'm imagining an NYS guy who is jobless, but who has gun training. In Korea, na kuna ng'ombe za Wamasai ile upande ingine. I'm thinking of a guy with a gun training in Mombasa without a job, and tourists are walking around. And let me ask you guys, how hard is it to get a gun if you want it? How many times have you heard stories of police hiring out guns? Now imagine an NYS trainee with gun training and being able to access a gun. What is the worst that can happen? Is it the first story you're hearing of such? When we talk about tribalism, and say we don't talk about how we should not bring tribe into all of this. When we look at Uhuru's regime and the police, and also all those top police and also those top positions, you could see there was a hint of Kikuyu. In the time of Moi, there was a hint of a lot of Kalenjin, and that is why up until today, people spend their time talking like Kalenjin when they talk about police officers. Because at some point, it was a statistic that you could even get 1 in every 5 police officers was Kalenjin. So we cannot say that there is no tribalism in the terms of selection of these disciplined forces. And now I'm just thinking, with the exit of Raila Amolo Odinga, the only obstacle for a William Ruto presidency in 2022 is none other than the Gen Z movement. That is the only person that can stand between him and that. And I also want to say this, 25th of June, 2024, the Gen Z did one thing that nobody else has ever done. In fact, Raila Odinga would say, tunaenda State House, tunaenda Parliament. And then he would show up with his V8 and he would make people walk to Jacaranda or make people walk to Uhuru Park. But Gen Z did not understand that assignment and they broke that. And since that day, you could see how the police are so scared about any form of grouping. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm thinking, with all these NYS guys coming out, and Anthony is telling you that they will eventually land in disciplined forces, was it not us here on Home Run with Pipi discussing how NYS guys came out for 350 slots, over 10,000 guys? Were we not the same people discussing that here on Home Run with Pipi sometime and towards the end of the last year? So where do we have all these 10,000 people, gun-trained people? Can they not be made a militia? Why are we training people? If we want more soldiers, get soldiers. If you want more police officers, get more police officers. If you want your NYS to have training, when they finish their pass out with their mwikos and koleos, because it is a youth service, not a youth force, Jesus Christ. It's a youth service for a reason. The number of NYS to be the intake for NYS has grown. Do you know that? In the past 1 year, the law has been passed to increase the number of NYS to be intaken to the NYS service. And now they're telling us, okay, let's do this. We're also going to train these people with the gun training. Okay, now when they finish doing this gun training, they go back home and sit with us at home. So that at the corner of the night, when somebody wants to create a gang, he just gets everybody who was in an NYS. And now we'll not be having machete-wielding militia, but we will be faced by gun-wielding militia. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, even during the 2024 Maandamano, 60 people, and I'm not kidding you, and I believe it is not 60, but because that is the official amount, we will say 60 people were shot, not at night, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you'll be shocked. You'd think it was at night with robbers. No. Police officers killed 60 people in a country with what we call independent police oversight authority, which has already gotten what they've received, I'm not kidding you, 2 salaries already since that event happened. And not a single police officer has even felt, not even gone to prison, felt a handcuff on their hands. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Odinga is a very important cog in the country's politics. In Chinese and in those Eastern communities, they have what they call the yin yang, where there is the good and there is the bad. Whenever you go into a presidential election, there is a reason why we have official opposition. Whenever you go to a presidential election and you get over 100 seats and you go and sit down with your opponent, what are you trying to do for that parliament? You have let the independent candidates get absorbed in the government, and now you're giving out the country on a silver platter. 3 years remaining into the term. What is it? And the worst part of it all, ladies and gentlemen, is when Raila Odinga leaves this country, we will be left on our own. And the worst part that even makes me even sadder is the fact that we are very intolerant of each other. People are always asking us, why do you host Osama Otero? Why do you host Anthony? And he's a, we are hosting DK, he's a government apologist. But my question here is, ladies and gentlemen, if Raila Odinga can find an accommodation within himself for William Ruto, who he claimed that he does not recognize his presidency, today they shook hands in public, in daylight, in front of presidents they paid fare for. What is it that we cannot be a voice together? I am not talking about having a unified space. I am talking about let us be tolerant of each other's voice. And those people that we feel are not well educated, let us educate them, not attack them. Educate, not attack. There are people who we know that will never give platforms because they are agents of disinformation. And the beauty of disinformation is if we fact check you right there, right then you cannot advance your lies anywhere. Na tunakushika paruanja. So for me, my parting shot on this junction is, are we ready to have our brothers living in bandit-prone areas with gun training? Police officers are being killed with akala-wearing bandits in Baragoi. Imagine an Akala wearing NYS graduate who has trained military training with arms without a job. What will he do to your police officers? As for Raila, let's meet in February, Majaliwa.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
DK kwenye gift. I'd like to say Home Run Pipi is supported by the listeners. Pale hivi kwenye topic line kuna tip ja line. Ingieni pale bwana. Ni kubaya. Mwezi iko kwa kona, guys. I'm going to let speakers come back to the speaker panel. That was my junction today. Kama kawaida, every 6 p.m., I take my time to just break down some of the issues that are within the topic of the day so that we can get a sane mind into it. Now, we'll get into the second half of these spaces. Home Run PP runs between 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. East African time. And right now, I'm going to hand you over to my co-host, DK, to get us to the next hour, of course. And I know Supermoon is here. And, of course, nothing, it looks like she's about to jump onto the mic as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Home Run PP Junction Time.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Nice one. Thank you very much, Pipi, for that one. And ladies and gentlemen, as you continue to listen in Asante Sana, Pipi, that was a heartfelt junction. I just want to remind everybody of a poll nimewekelea pale. As tunaendelea na hii conversation, please check on the comment section and you'll find a poll that will be running. Tuko na masaa ngapi left on it? 2 hours 23 minutes. At the moment, tulikuwa tumeuliza swali, will the appointment of Raila Odinga as chairman of AU have any impact to us as a nation? Of course, tumesikia some of the speakers wenye wameongea retaliating and giving their comments on the same. At the moment, we have the votes still coming in, still early, but of course, very high on the most certainly not. Now, Supermoon, uko na sisi? Actually, I see Supermoon dropped off. So, no, Supermoon, you're there. I see you. Supermoon, habari leo?
Okay, good evening everyone. Mnanisikia? Hello? Mnanisikia?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Tunakusikia. Please go on.
Okay, good evening. Okay.
Talk to us. Tunakusikia. We're waiting for you to give us your point, Supermoon.
Okay, let me start with the Raila to AU commission bid. Mine is, I'm supporting it. Na mi nikiangalia, it is a good thing for Raila because in Kenyan politics, he has tried more than 4 times. He has done his work. He has given us a good constitution, whereby now we are enjoying our freedom of speech, freedom of expression. I think without Raila, we could have not been where we are as a Kenyan. Most of our neighboring countries, I think their freedom of speech are still infringed. I think you know what's happening even in Uganda, in some of the areas. So Raila going for AUC bid, I think is a great for Kenya. And according to me, I just want to all Kenyans will support him. I know he has a greater chance there. He is likely to win it. Even though maybe he can have some opponent to those who are pro-Russia, because obvious, if you look at Raila, is somehow neutral. Most of the European countries, I know they have influence in African chairmanship. I don't think they have even problem working with the Raila, but there's one thing I worry with, even if he goes there, like what we have asked, is there anything that will benefit us Kenya? So I watched his speech when he said that in Kenya we have, let us say in Africa, we have minerals. So when you look the problem we have in Africa, those our minerals are being siphoned and taken to the European countries, the West. They are the one enjoying them. So with us, we are just mining, being given the mega amount of those paper called money as an exchange. So we end up being in a poor country. So we are rich. The continent is so wealthy, but the people living in this continent, we are poor. Not we are poor because we don't have brain or because we don't work hard, but we are poor maybe because of can we blame the leaders or can we blame we as Africans? But I think we blame our leaders who always take the side with the Western people. So it's as if they are selling Africans the same way the slavery, most of the Africans were being sold by their fellow Africans. So even if he goes there, he doesn't, and he fails to voice for Africans because those minerals, like in Kenya, we have it's called the rare minerals which has been found here in Kwale. We have so many. We have the gold in the lake region. We have the coltan. We have so many minerals that can make Kenya at least develop. But the problem, even if they are being mined, they are being mined by unknown companies. You don't see whether they are contributing to any revenue in the country. We exchange them with the papers. So we end up being given the papers, and they go with the minerals, they make phones, they make machines, and then we go and buy those machines. So they build their factory there. We end up becoming poor, so poor. So I think that's the area where, as Raila, when he goes there, he should just think, how can our mineral help us as Africans? How can it help us? Because there is no way Africa can be industrialized if you don't use our minerals, the agricultural products. We take only the raw materials. We mine our gold, we mine our coltan, we mine our diamond. We take them there. They give us papers. So we go and use a lot of papers. They're the same papers they've given us, because paper is just being manufactured from renewable sources of energy, whereby paper is being made from the trees. Those trees we can plant, but can you plant even those minerals? You cannot plant gold. They're being exhausted. So we have a problem in that area. So I don't know who can address such, because at right now, in a continent where every kind of mineral. Yes?
I'm saying just 1 minute for you to finish your submission. Asante, Superman.
Okay.
Supermoon, I'm asking you to actually finish in 1 minute.
Okay. So okay, in 1 minute. So what I'm saying, I'm supporting him. And then another thing is about NYS arms training. So NYS being given the firearms, I don't think there is a problem there, because there was a time they wanted even to give those private security, those working in the private security, but the parliament refused. But giving them the firearm, I don't think there is a problem. Maybe what Kenyans fear, obviously Ruto will win 2027, even if he will rig the election, whichever. So people fear that he will militarize the country by start training the NYS in prior. But I always tweet, I always say that for us to, as Gen Z, to ensure that we have a good leader who at least who understand because we have a good constitution, but the problem, those who are using those constitution, those are our leaders. We have the problem in IBC. So there is no way we can end up voting 6 people at once. So that is where we have the loopholes. So obviously Ruto will win if there is no reforms in the IBC. So if there is a reform in the IBC such that we can have, because the problem here is someone who is becoming the president because the backstop at him. So is the one dictating the other arms of the government. So we want someone, if you want to kill Mtata, he has displayed it, it's good. But there's no way, even if you put who, Ruto will still win in the current the situation we have in the IBC. He will still rig his way. So the plans,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Superman. Thank you for that. And thank you for your submission. As we continue to give whatever your thoughts are, I always do not like to seem as I pick any sides. But Supermoon, to just come to you and to a few others that I may have heard or may, while in the listening panel, speak on their sentiments about the NYS. There are things that I would like to just. I think I'll speak about them and I give my own piece and junction. But before then, I want to build whatever I'll say later on the words of one of my newly made good friends here on X. And here's a tweet he had shared earlier this morning that really caught me when I was thinking about the NYS. And he was saying, you can't train people to use guns and don't offer them jobs in the forces. Will we be breeding criminals and the crime rate? Won't we be building criminals? And will the crime rate not shoot higher in this country due to the rate of unemployment we are facing? Putting in mind that you have put in these unemployed persons' hands, the skill to actually use a firearm. Just put that at the back of your head. The order by President Ruto to offer basic firearms training for NYS recruits is dangerous for this country's security unless they will be employed in the forces. Now, also to build on just what Pipita also shared during his junction, I can't remember the exact figures he used. And Pipi, if you're hearing me, please do comment to me the actual figures you were speaking about, as far as the number of unemployed NYS that have actually stepped out of NYS service. I think you were speaking about having this conversation late last year. I really was keen to want to see those figures, and I'll try to look for them. Just put that in mind, that you have this unemployed section of persons, and you have put the skill of firearm in their hands. And I'm not going to comment to compare us to another nation with regard to the fact that the things that we are all exposed to in our environment, in our society, in the nature of our livelihood is always different. That is, for example, here in Kenya and in the US. But if I sit for a minute and I think about just how much in certain places, for whatever reasons people may want to give, the power of owning a gun has been abused in numerous ways, and not just in the US, but also in other countries. Just to imagine how that has been misused, either for the betterment of an individual or for the harming of a society and a people. And then you decide to go ahead and have young people in a nation sitting at home unemployed without anything to do, but you taught them how to use a gun. I will go to our next speaker for today, and before I do, I'll give nothing. Nothing. I'll give you your 3 minutes to offer a submission. I've been seeing your hand up, and I'm almost certain you'll probably touch on this as well. So nothing. Maybe let me give you a chance, and then after you, we will go to.
Thank you, DK, and thank you, PP, for the highlights you guys have brought forward. I think we have to separate emotions from reality. When we want to find a solution to the current problems we are facing, the emotions are important, but when we are activating the things we want to activate. Now, on the issue of arming citizens, please do not compare yourselves with United States. You need to look at crime rate. These guns will be used against your children. You need to compare crime rate in the US and crime rate in Europe. The difference is they don't have citizens with guns, because we all have those days where you feel a certain way, and someone who is armed can act in the wrong direction. And I think we are losing course when we start advocating for arming citizens. The arming this country from every corner contribute to the betterment, to the Kenya we want. So I persuade everyone to think in that direction. It's one thing to say, oh, probably this can be useful. We don't want guns. That is not who we are. Picture keeping a gun, it will always end up with bloodshed. That is not who we are. That's why we are condemning the police who actually killed Kenyans. Another thing on that issue of the brutality and the killings we saw, there's a policeman who posted a video and said that their counterparts from Tanzania and Uganda who were brought and were paid way more than the local police. So we should be shining spotlight in such voices so that we can unearth the truth on how we can court these people, because it's not all of them that are rogue, and that's why they are outsourcing. Ugandans have spoken in spaces where they say, we have Ugandans who are sent across the border to come and fight you. So let's focus our issues into something that will improve the current state of the nation. Another issue I wanted to raise was the issue of tribalism. I apologize for people who feel a certain way, but it's not going to heal the nation. The reason why this tribal card cannot have room in the revolution, and I'm going to say something controversial, but you can think about it over time. Do you know he has no support in Rift Valley? Count the number of times he's in the Rift Valley. Watch those videos, because they never see the light of day. They're suppressed on social media, and they're suppressed on the main media. He has no support on the ground. So the narrative that his people are selling is that the Kikuyus wanted to take power through the back door, and that is exactly communication that reached Raila's people. We have had people from Nyanza saying the same thing, and I can attest that those are facts. In fact, I was suggesting we will have Rigiji on one of the spaces so that we distance ourselves from him, because now they are saying he's the one who was funding Gen Z, and now the older generation, the message they're sending out is that this guy wanted to drop him from the sky. He wanted to take power through the back door. So you see, they're still trying to find, because on the ground people have totally refused. So please, let's not go back to this tribal card of suggesting, oh, which tribe. We have already crossed that bridge. We are now looking at each other as Kenyans. When someone tells you, oh, a particular tribe, believe you me, that is the same sentiments they hold in their own spaces. And if in your own spaces you cannot rise against tribalism, we will be tripped by the same ills. So let's not look at other Kenyans as coming from a particular tribe or this or the other. We want a united Kenya. We crossed the barrier of tribalism and religion. So let's move forward. Let's not look back. Yes, those things happened and it's unfortunate, but let's look at each other as Kenyan and look towards building a better country. Thank you.
All right, asante sana, nothing. And just before I go to you, Aguko, who will be jumping onto the next speaker, maybe let me just share one or two comments that have been there. I see Glass King just written, guys, we're in trouble. NYS training and will bring more thugs for street. It will be misused. We are in trouble when group will be liable for anything members. Okay, I don't understand the last part of your comment, sorry, but the first part just makes a quick sense of it. NYS training will bring more thugs to street. It will be misused. I also see Anthony Moro had shared something. He says, correct sequence. Number one, Raila AUC bid belongs to Obasanjo. I think this is what he feels. This is his opinion. Number two, Raila threw a rope to Ruto, who was sinking under Gen Z onslaught. Number three, he says it's obvious that this was a selfish deed to keep the AUC bid robust. I also see Chalomoki, two comments from Chalomoki that I would want to highlight. The first one, he says, this is just an outdated style of presidency. Roadside pronouncements as in the Moi period. The president's pronouncements are as inappropriate and are a show of contempt for the constitution and Kenyan people. He also says down below that the NYS arms training is just another roadside declaration that is unconstitutional. Remember, Article 239 of the Constitution establishes the national security organs. Article 241 mandates the KDF to be responsible for the defense of the territory integrity of Kenya. One last comment that I'll read from Kadosh Kenya Dorothy. She says, if you still believe Raila can help you as a Kenyan in that AUC position, then we are still very far from civic education. Asante sana for your comments. Please feel free to jump onto the section and share your thoughts on today's discussion on the AUC, on Raila to the AUC, as well as NYS arms training comments that were given sometime, I believe, last week by the president during one of his visits, I think, in the towns. And also check out the poll that we're having pinned. You can check out for a poll that I've pinned on my profile. That is at Kinjana and Gather or DK Gift. And we are asking a very simple question that is, will the appointment of Raila Odinga as chairman of AU have any impact to us as a nation? Aguko, habari ya jioni.
Salama sana DK Gift. Kwaje?
Salama sana. Please share with us thoughts zako leo.
Niko kwa kelele somehow, lakini mtaniwia tu radhi. Nataka tu, I just want to post questions. I don't want to talk so much. I just want to post questions. Anybody with answer can answer me. If the military are trained to protect us from external attack, the police are trained to protect us internally. NYS are going to be trained to do what? If anybody has an answer for that, I'll appreciate. Secondly, Raila going to AU will not bring impact to us. Actually, the way I'm seeing Obasanjo so close to him, and Obasanjo himself has been there and has achieved almost nothing, to an extent home, which is the ECOWAS, has trouble. I don't know what he's going to bring to us. Because somebody has talked about, oh, he's going to deal with these things of minerals. Such minerals and the West will not leave you to work. Because that is what they hold us for. That is what they are gaining from us, the minerals. And that is the reason why they are coming back here. There is nothing they are coming back to do here, apart from the minerals for their companies. Thank you. I'm in town. I don't want to speak much. I'll speak later when I get home.
All right. Guko, and thank you for the question that you have put across. Anyone who feels free, feel free to to take on that question. So I had seen Sakwa, though I think I may have lost him. So before I go to Kim001, who has his hand up, let me go to Gunia. Gunia first. Gunia, Junior. Habari ya leo. Please talk to us. Junior? I see your hand up, Junior. If you can hear me, please unmute your mic and talk to us. All right. Before Junior gets to the mic, Kim001, maybe you can share your thoughts.
Hello, I'm feeling that I have to do a bit of clarification so that we don't have to keep discussing about that tribal card because it came up after my submission. Now, we really have to detach ourselves from emotions, as the speaker who was doing my rebuttal said. But now, there is that notion that if something can happen, it will happen. This NYS arms training, we are saying all political decisions are not coincidences. They are deliberate decisions. So some people gathered around a table, really discussed and saw the possibilities that could come with having a trained NYS for their own reasons. We can only speculate on that. It is in the same breath. They also know it is a very two-edged sword. If you train a lot of people, they have the knowledge of arms use, and they are unemployed. Our greatest fear is they can always use the skills and make them against the people. So you are talking about violence, theft, like they have the power to make violence against the unarmed civilians if they get hold of the arms, which you are saying in Kenya, it is not very hard to get arms actually. It is not very hard. So they can always get the illegal arms and use them, use the skills trained by the government for their own nefarious reason. So they have already looked at that aspect also of they can also use the skills against the same government. It is a two-edged sword. They can also use the same skill against the same people who are proposing for their training, who are pro their training. That is why I was really saying we do not have a law that really specifies how we have to do what you call intakes for the armed forces armor for that NYS thing as per se. That is why I'm saying the only way you could contain not training people who you know could easily turn against you is by them doing their old thinking. And they are the tribal bigots we have in power. We can only wish they are not tribal, but the fact of the matter remains they are very tribal. Just because I talked about that, does not mean I'm tribal in any way, but we cannot always absolve ourselves from really mentioning names and possibilities because I used it as an example. I said, suppose somebody decided to use this way. That was a possibility. It is a possibility, but the fact of the matter remains, it can happen because who's still in power? He can do it because he can. Right now, we are here in the space saying we are not supporting training of this NYS in arms, but the fact of the matter remains, if Ruto wants to go ahead with it, despite all the advices given, in fact, there is a 2013 article that details why is it the intelligence arm, the NIS, or is it the National Security Council that sanctioned such a move back then? But they brought it back now again. Why now? Why now? What has changed between 2013 and now? You know, you also have to look at what I'm really quoting the US. I was trying to bring that aspect of showing how if you are not doing selective training, if you have to arm people, then don't make the citizenry vulnerable. Let it be open to everybody. Everybody. I am still not supporting the arms training of the NYS, but I'm saying if they really have to do it because they really push to have it. Let it not be selective so that we do not have a vulnerable group. That's me.
All right, Asante Kim. I keep losing some of my speakers, but I see some coming back. Let me see. I had Gunia and a few who just dropped, but he's jumping on Gunia. If you can hear me. Gunia, can you hear me? But before I go to Gunia, let me just go to Gunia. Can you hear me?
Gunia has dropped. I don't know kama unazomsikia
No,
sahi.
I'm here. I was having a problem
And
hearing you
Mimpata.
people, but now I'm here.
All right.
Can I proceed
All right.
now?
Please go on. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much, MCPP, for the chance. Again, it's been long. I traveled a little bit, but I'm back. As usual, me, I have my point of view, which is controversial, but I want to start by answering. There's a guy who asked NYS wanted to protect from what? So you see, running a country, you gamble with many things. for me, where my position as of now, arming NYS, actually, he did not say that the MIS should be NYS should be armed. He said that they should be trained for basic arms training, whatever, which to me is dangerous. If we have these police behaving the way they are doing, yet these people trained for 9 months and whatever, now can you imagine NYS, disgruntled youth, wamepata training, they don't have anything to do, na wanajua kutumia arms, it's really bad. Because kama wakora wale wajatumia, wakora wenye hawajatrain vizuri, na wanatusumbua hapa. Now you can imagine training these youth, alafu they are disgruntled. If they land their hands kwa hizo mabunduki, it will be a problem. But that is on the side. Now, we are talking about so many things here. I look at this thing and I remember when we started this conversation from day one, I said this Gen Z movement lacks focus, and I talked about the leadership. Nilitusiwa nikaambiwa mini agent. I talked about the focus. Niliambiwa mini agent. The same thing is happening now. Gen Z are unadvisable. These people cannot be advised. They know it all. And I said last time I will name them at the end. Someone like Morara, for example, points out at things, focuses on failed promises. The question which nobody wants to ask or answer is what next after we expose hizi vitu zote. Another one called Makure Samuel is so arrogant that cannot be told anything. As a matter of fact, from where I sit now, on 2 Alliance, the only thing he talks about in Amanda Alliance, nice Kizungu, there's no circumstance at all. There's no substance in whatever he's saying. He's just busy. What is next? What next? Now, another person making the same mistake I'm talking about is someone we are looking up to, like Babu Owino. When you ask him, the kind of presentation the student leaders used to have, the kind of substance, ukikaa chini unasikia grievances za mtu, anakuambia from 1 to 10 unakaa umebaki 10 nil. Unaambiwa kuna 1, 2, 3. Nobody can do that. It's just cantankerous, belligerent, sijui what, comrade we must, comrade with this. You say, what is the substance? What next? Nobody's saying anything. Now, let's talk about the Raila candidates, or he's going to get it 100%. That's done. I told this forum last time that government is a well-oiled machine. It's a well-oiled machine that hakuna kitu yote unaweza kuja ushtue ati Gen Z sijui nini. But I said, if something has happened that the president had to run and hide kwa Raila ambaye anachukia na kila mtu anajua, something big is happening. We need to focus and take a target na tupige na tusonge. When you are targeting president, you are targeting deputy president, you are targeting MPs, you are targeting whatever, hii yote haitaenda mahali. That's why now wamerudi kwa barabara. As much as we don't want the most corrupt CS like Murkomen, wamerudishwa tu and nobody cares. So I want to provide a solution, a suggestion. The heart of a government tulipata na tunajua. We just don't listen. The heart of a government is the parliament. That is where kila kitu inafanywa. The president fears the parliament. That is why he has to bribe the parliament. The chief justice fears the parliament. Huko anaweza impeachiwa. The police fears the parliament because huko ndio utaitwa na huko ndio kesi itatoka na itakuwa moto. The CSS wote fears the parliament. That is the heart. The moment Gen Z waliweka members of parliament could not move. Ukienda mahali nyumba imechomwa. Ukienda mahali gari imegongwa. Si walirecall kitu. Ruto did not do this willingly. Si walikataa kina Kindiki. But when we came back and relaxed, wakarudi tena. I'm suggesting to the entire movement and country, the target is parliament. Ingine yote wachana nayo, because at the end of the day, the head of the state doesn't wake up in the morning and make decisions. There are people advising him. Na anaambiwa to achieve this and ABCD. Raila did not sign a contract with the Kenyans that every single time they will be voting bullshit leaders, and then you cry for Raila to come and who told you Raila ndiye azaliwa kuja teseke juu ya Kenya? If he tells people this is a wrong person, do not elect, anakataliwa na rushwa aenda bondo we mzeke and all those things. Now they elect Uhuru, Uhuru humiliate Kenyans, anaua watu. As a matter of fact, if there's somebody who killed Kenyans wanaokotwa River Yala na wapi, and even Ruto said there was a container Nairobi area watu wanakuwa slaughtered, nobody aliandamana. Ruto jamaliza hata mwaka hata jamaliza hata moja. Suddenly Kenyans wanajua extrajudicial killings is bad. Kinoti used to kill people here allegedly. Nobody aliandamana. Uhuru used to do this. Hizi loan zote zilikuwa zachukuliwa na Uhuru. Nobody aliandamana. Now suddenly Ruto amekuwa the worst. Like kila mtu lazima mnyonge. I'm not saying I'm glorifying what Ruto is doing. But when it is our way or highway, we are doing the same thing that Ruto is doing. We don't give anybody opportunity to give a dissenting opinion or a contrary view. Every time umesema kitu yote watu wajakubaliana nayo, where you have to be lynched, wewe ni agent, wewe ni nini. As much as we don't agree with them, they are wrong. But we have to listen to them because they have achieved some things that we are building onto. Someone like Raila, you can't just walk around insulting Raila. Oh, you need. We just say, okay, Mzee, you did your bit. We accept. You are jailed for 9 years. Umepigana, umeandamana. Now we appreciate all you have done. Thank you so much from Apple. West sasa wacha sisi tusonge. We will take it from here because we believe your wisdom utatu advise from behind. Sasa weka huko acha si tusonge. But when you're around, you're abusing everyone. I see this Caswell guy insulting everyone. Hata ambiliki. Gen Z or ambiliki. What I'm suggesting is this. When we target the parliament, members of parliament has what it takes to approve or disapprove. Gen Z nilisema, if the entire movement is not satisfied with Ruto's candidature, what else will we do? Who can we front? Tuseme huyu, tukimpa kura yetu. When you talk about Omutata cannot beat Ruto. This one you know. He doesn't have the money, he doesn't have the muscle, he doesn't have the network. We are deep state, tusidanganyane ati kura yako itaweka Omutata president. He will not make it. Huku kuna network, ndio Raila alibebana na watu wake hapo, unaona anajaribu massage ndio asukumu aingie ndani. It won't work. But when we pick a candidate, I propose someone like Matiang'i, pushed by Gen Z.
Gunia, I'm
Yes.
sorry to cut you short, and I don't like doing this, but I will ask you, let's stick to today's topic. I feel like you're also getting to a little bit of different things that not necessarily what we are on here. So let's stick to Raila to AUC and NYC arms training.
Okay.
Hii mambo ingine
Sawa.
candidate ama kaskazani ama nani anaongea kitu ya sense or not, let's leave that alone first. Stick to today's topic. Thank you.
Well guided. Well guided. I was just emotional and I didn't have time to say those things. That's why I'm well guided. Now, Raila's seat will just give us a pride. There's nothing big ambayo seat itatuletea because I've never seen anybody benefiting from the AU seat, but NYS arms training, I'm against it because we are going to have youths who are unemployed, unemployed. There's nothing good living conditions, and they are well trained. They have skills on how to use firearms, and they will go if they manage to get those firearms. It will be disastrous for the country. However, I understand that the reason why we had NYS is to instill discipline. And the wisdom behind it was just training ile physical ikuwe sawa, so that when you recruit when you're recruiting for the police and the military, you just go to the NYS, watu wako fit, you just do a small minimal training na mnaenda. I think that was the wisdom behind NYS. But this arms training, I'm against it. AUC ya Raila, wacha aende, a relax. But for me, where I stand, I don't see any advantage of the people. Ya maana tutapata kwa hii kiti. But for now, I'll rest my case there. Now.
All right, asante. Pipi?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Home Run with Pippi.
Asante sana, Pipi. I saw your mic on. I thought you wanted to say something, but thank you for the jingle. You read my mind. Whew. There's a big part of me that wants to take up on New Gunia, but I am not sure whether I want to go down that rabbit hole because Pipita is going to come and open the mic and tell me, DK, cool your... Whoo-wee. Pipi, si nikuombe tu nipigie tu coffee ndio niacha. Nika coffee tu.
DK, breathe.
Mama yangu. Hey.
Ow! Lakini okay, sawa. Acha nikuje kwa mic sasa basi. Okay, cool. Okay.
Jili yake nikiongea saa hizi.
This is Home Run with Pippi.
As I said, ladies and gentlemen, we need to have tolerance. The way Western Shilao said earlier on, democracy is also accepting dissenting voices. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us be tolerant. Let us be tolerant. Welcome to Home Run PP, ladies and gentlemen. My name is MC Pipita. You can call me PP. And of course, Home Run PP is supported by you, the listener. If you like what you're doing, pale viju kwenye topic line, there is a phone number 0721948229 to support the show. I see Western Chilam, I'm going to let Western talk to us. Mimi Gunia, in the spirit of democracy of thoughts, I'm not going to talk. So I'm going to let Western talk to us. Western.
Thanks, Pipi. Thanks, Pipi. Actually, Gunia couldn't have spoken on a better platform. Exactly. That I don't agree with what Gunia is saying or whoever it is, but I'm going to defend his right to say that which I don't agree with. If I may borrow from Voltaire. Gunia, let me put it to you that last time Kenya presented a candidate for the AU Commission chair. It was Amina Mohammed. He was known in the UN circles because before Uhuru Kenyatta hired her, she was in Geneva. That's where she used to work. So she was really well known in those diplomatic circles in Geneva. And Geneva is one of those diplomatic hubs. And Addis, if you care to know. And Kenyans, or let me put it, the Kenyan government believed that they had the seat in the bag just before the voting started. Because Amina Mohammed and some other well-established politicians from Senegal were the front runners. When the votes were cast and they were counted, to the horror and consternation of the Kenyan delegation, some bureaucrat, politician, former prime minister from Chad, Musa Faki, had won. Kenyan delegation didn't make sense of that. You know what? What did the postmortem say? The Kenyan political elite, if you see them at home, Gachagua was saying, I don't have a problem with the Raila Odinga, when everybody else knows he does. That's mendacity. They also export that kind of politics abroad. So when they were campaigning, they would be asked, what is your position on Morocco's occupation of Western Sahara? It was a big issue. These guys had no position. They were spineless. When they meet this delegation, they tell them something else. They meet that delegation, they tell them something else. They had no position. They were spineless. People say, these guys, they have no position on such a crucial issue. Okay, let's wait them at the ballot box. They lost. Well, this time round, you can ask this William Ruto government, what is their position on the Gaza, atrocities? Well, that question is rhetorical because William Ruto has expressed his position on social media, on Twitter. He supports Israel. Does it occur to you that that could be really a game changer during the elections? Kenya's position on the Gaza conflict, and especially South Africa, one of the most consequential countries within the AU, and which has taken such a strong stance against Israel. Okay, you don't think that that could be an issue? Obasanjo there is just an old man. He doesn't represent Nigeria. He's completely discredited. He's been friends with the Raila for so long. So I don't think he's of much gravitas. I can guarantee you that could be the game changer come those elections. So those people you see from Madagascar, Mauritius, I don't know, Djibouti, we tend to look at those countries and think that they're not really consequential countries. The same way we thought Chad could not defeat us, or they thought so. The Uhuru Kenyatta people, Chad, how can we be defeated by somebody from Chad? Well, he's on his final term, going home. So Kenya's foreign policy has always been defined by spinelessness and championing and rehashing the US talking points. And I can guarantee you there are some people within the AU circles and across Africa who find that to be extremely retrogressive. And when you come, and William Ruto at home, we are campaigning against him, and one of the issues on which we have issues with him is that he's too close to the US. You think people are not following the discussions we're having in Kenya? And the issues attendant to the protests in Kenya? You think people are not following? His closeness, close proximity to the US. Why do you think, well, the AU, that some people would be comfortable with that? A country that is so close to the US to produce AU Commission chair. Why do you think so? What I'm saying is that he stands a chance, but to say it's in the bag is to be deluded, honestly, because in the past, when last Kenya presented a candidate, they thought the thing was in the bag. It wasn't in the bag. And history could just repeat itself. Because we take it for granted that these other African countries don't matter. Well, they matter. They know how to do their politics. They do. We think if you rehash American talking points, well, you're going to impress I don't know who. You cannot impress yourself. Outside there, people take great exception to you as a country or your political elite taking great pride in serving imperialist interests. Gunia, I want to ask you about Raila is done enough and whatever. Let me ask you, Gunia, when you fight for justice or when you go to the streets and protest, it could be against a finance bill or whatever, police brutality, extrajudicial and summary executions. Do you do that on behalf of someone? You don't. You don't. You do that for your own sake. It's that selfish. That me, Gunia or Pipita or Western, I find police brutality to be obnoxious against fundamental human rights, and I'm opposed to it. That's why I'm going to the street. So you don't do it on behalf of anybody. And if you're fighting for political liberalization, you're fighting against one-party state, do you do it on behalf of someone? Do you fight Moi on behalf of Kenyans? No, because you're convinced. Personally, I don't like this regime. I don't like, detentions without trial. I don't like the fact that we don't have many parties through which we can organize our politics. I don't like the fact that one person stays in power for so many years. You cannot do that on behalf of Kenyans. So when you say, oh, Kenyans are not appreciative, what do you mean by appreciative? Matters to do with justice, social justice, democracy, the rule of law. Those are things you must be invested in as an individual, not because you're fighting for anybody. Well, if you're fighting for people, why you can join the tyrants. Why are you fighting for people if something is serving you? If the finance bill is serving you well, why are you on the streets? You can just go and join the government. So, Gune, it's completely misleading and intellectually untenable to say that Raila Odinga has been fighting for Kenyans. No, you can't. You can only fight for yourself and hope that when you fight for justice, it will have a spillover effect. Other Kenyans will benefit. So you don't retire and say that I've retired, now I've joined the people who have been oppressing me. You've retired. You've retired from fighting for justice. Okay, these people stole my elections. Now I've joined them. Kenyans, you can go. I mean, really, it's bizarre, eh? That kind of logic is tortured, completely tortured. So they stole your elections. Why are you joining them? Why are you joining them? No, Kenyans are not expecting Raila Odinga to fight for them. They're just holding to account vis-a-vis his history. Yes, that is it. It's not like they are out, so they're doing it by themselves. They're fighting. They don't rely on him. So, Gunia, please get it clear. It's not this you cannot outsource, or you cannot hire a person to fight for justice for you. You can only do it yourself. Raila Odinga has been a transactional politician all through since the Moi era. And he's been pulling wool over the faces of Kenyans for so long. Thank God he's lived long enough for the mask to fall off. Yes, he's been a transactional politician, completely self-centered, manipulating power for his own economic and political advancement. That is it. Very cynical. Thank you.
Asanti Western Shilaho. Thank you, my brother, and thank you for your intellectual, very, very intellectual words. Couldn't have put it better. My younger brother Pipita, Asanti for allowing me to sip some water and take a breath. I will go to
DK, you're not going anywhere until I deal with this Western, please.
No, we are going to move on because we need to allow also some few more speakers, but we'll see if we'll get a chance for rebuttal at some point. For now, let me just run through some of the other speakers who've come in. The Real Joe, how are you? Real Joe, nisikia?
Nakusikia, niko nje, ni vile leo niko, I'm in a very bad place today, but it's okay. I have been listening from...
Can we give you some time to get yourself? We'll give you the mic a bit later.
Unaweza pata mwizi amegrabia simu yako kwa kona saa anaenda. Ni Nairobi.
Real J, if you can hear me, let me allow you to get to a good place. When you're okay to speak, just raise up your hand. We'll give you a chance to speak.
Fine, that's...
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll go to Ayobe before I go to Tapudola, and then we'll continue with some of the other new speakers. Ayobe, habari Johnny. Ayobe, can you hear me?
Ayobe, are you there?
Sidhani yako hapo.
Network yake imeshaenda.
Because Mike, again, we will be sure to have you back hapa juu. Tapudola, habari Johnny. Ala. Network imefanya ile kitu. Tapudola, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Excellent.
So well.
Please share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, I've been hearing the conversation with regards to Raila and the AUC stuff. Me, I've been so consistent from the moment I heard the news. I knew Raila will win because of the guy who is supporting him. They've done a good shuttle diplomacy. So Ghania knows, and I co-share with him. It's not all about, you don't need to be reckless on someone who has a different opinion. If you don't share the same opinion, respect it. If he says I'm an animal, respect, I'm an animal. But now let's go to the AU thing. Raila will win it. You can take this to the nearest bank. I said it January. I'll say it today. He will win it. Because one thing, look at it. It's a break on neck for Ruto. Ruto wants the Western vote. And he'll do every shit to make Baba the president. So Baba goes off Kenyan politics. That's the first thing. On this second pointer is, you look at the official pledges the government of Kenya has signed versus 24 states now, African states that will be voting for Raila. 24 will be voting for Raila before today's launching. I'm told there are 25 now. So 25 have written pledges, official pledges, OFFICIAL. They'll be voting for him. You can take this to the nearest kiosk. He will win it. Huyu mwenye mnaambiwa huyu wa Somali mwenye mnasifu online hapa, ground ni different. Kaini rada. I'm out. Pipi, been a while, eh? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I hope you are too.
Been long. Yep. 2 cents.
All right. Okay. Okay. Asante sana. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for everyone who's still listening as we go through the speakers that are there. I think Nimeona Ayabe amerudi, so I'll jump right on to Ayabe after this. But let me just appreciate all those in the listening panel listening to us tonight. And just to mention a few, as we always do, I see Samuel Ngumi, Asante Sana, Sadeti Contractors, Akona Frank Thuem, na kuona Dennis, let's see, Dennis Ongeri, asante sana for listening in. I see you Linus Juma, na kuona Mwalimu James Polymath, na kuona pale chini, asante sana. O'Brien, I see you as well. Namuona Jamba Nene, namuona Kenya Mpya, Ward Alego, I see you down there. Taraji Brown, Felon Joro, JM Karaoke, Renish, It's Godwin, Starboy, each one of you that is listening to us. I also see some of our good friends also who are listening. Mizani 254, asante sana for tuning in. I see you, Grace. I see you, Mary Minor. Thank you very much for being here. Remember, you can also jump onto the comment section and onto my profile page. You see a pinned poll for today. We're asking if you think the appointment of Raila Odinga as chairman of AU has or will have any impact to us as a nation. So far, we have 84% saying most certainly not, and 16% saying it sure will. Please share your comment on the same. Please vote in so we can know your thoughts on that, and also share your comments if you'd like, if you're listening panel, on today's discussion for that is Raila to the AUC and NYS arms training. Ayabe, good evening.
Hi, DK and Pipita. My evening is good. Leo nilikuwa nimesema nitakuwa listener then so kuna time ulikuwa Pipi alikuwa anakushikilia usipite na mtu and it was at that point, around that point ndo niliamua hata mimi nikuje express ndio hata mimi nisipite na mtu. Anyway, I think Western amezima hiyo moto vizuri, and now we don't have a lot. I don't have any more rebuttal or anything like that, or any more violence, for lack of a better word. So for me, I'm going to stick to the 2 points. Ya kwanza ni Raila AUC. In an ideal situation, Raila going to the AUC should actually have a very good impact to our country. Kwa sababu ni kama kukuwa na having your friend in a higher place. See, okay, we are not talking about nepotism or anything like that. Just having your friend in a higher place whereby anaweza kumarket, anaweza kukwambia kuna opportunities mahali, look them out, check them out, so you apply whatever, and of course si ati atakupushia anything, but they can sell you, meaning unakuwa long hanging fruit, if you know what I'm saying. So it should be like that for our country, so that he is the AUC chair, then his opportunities zinaweza kuja in our country. If we had our minerals and they are nationalized, hii ukora tuko nayo, he should be one of those people mwenye anasaidia kuzimarket. Tourism, he should be the one doing that. If there are maybe funding opportunities that should come to, like, unajua hizi funding kuanga tu zinaflotiwa huko nje, by the way, and it just needs somebody to point someone to the right direction. Investors, unaona, so some of these investors, they come, they say we have this project, we have this idea, we want, and huyo mtu sana anafaa kuwa anasema okay, you can go and build your factory or whatever in my country, which of course when that happens, then it has direct impact to your economy, to your country. But again, I've said it should be, but we all know Raila actually, see, yeye ndiye amekuwa the chair of minister of infrastructure for the African Union. He's had that position for a while. I don't know if he's still amaliacha, but I might be wrong here, but I don't think kuna njia hata moja ambayo Raila ama pesa zozote ambazo Raila amezidirect towards infrastructure in Kenya. I don't think so. The last time I checked, alifanya tu barabara.
Jamhuri, please mute your mic.
Oh. Yes. Yes. So the last time I checked, he just had a road named after him, which si ati ni yeye alijenga or anything. So I don't think so. I'm not sure, unless kuna mtu anajua mahali kuna barabara Raila ama pesa alilete na can ensure maybe infrastructure was made that was not Kenyan money or pesa imetoka AU or something. I don't think so. Raila hajafanya hivyo, which ideally he should have done. So yes, while this would have been a very good, should be a good opportunity for a country, Kenya, I don't think it will have any impact. So he's going to the AU ni kama tu maybe the only thing it can have is bragging rights. I don't know. Hiyo tu ndo maybe inaweza kuwa advantage, and it will be advantage probably for the political class, because currently matter, we are no longer feeling we are together, hatuko pamoja na hiyo political class. So as a country, no. For the political class maybe, but matter for us. So yeah, so for me, I don't think it has any consequence. It will be inconsequential. The only consequence it will have is that our money will be used for total bull, and it's unfortunate. So the other thing is NYS arms training, and that is a very sure. I'm not sure how to say about this, because I the first time I ever held a gun, I think nilikuwa high school. It was a legal gun, don't get me wrong. And I was just curious about it. I didn't feel anything. A few months ago, I held a gun, and I think vile life imenipiga, I felt angry. I felt now I had power. I felt like I could pita na mtu. So trust me, I don't think the gun should be in people's hands who are not guided by anything. So kama NYS wataenda kupewa guns, then unless waabsorbiwe maybe in some force of some kind where it will be regulated, na kama watakuwa wanatrainiwa in those arms, itakuwa to kumilitarize a nation. I don't know, probably I have a feeling the reasoning of whoever is saying that is an feel when the maandamano happened, he didn't have maybe enough force to use, because he had to borrow people from outside the country to come and do his dirty bidding. So he's thinking maybe if he has enough militarized people, they can help him to fight. But that is not my assumption. However, I don't think NYS should actually be trained on guns. Not that I'm saying that kutrainiwa kutumia gun ni directly proportional to people misusing, but chances of people misusing it or hiyo convert into increase in mambo na violence, gun violence is very high, kwa sababu there's a lot of illegal guns flying around in this country or even in the world, and this country is corrupt unfortunately. So wewe ukishajua kutumia gun, trust me, you won't kosa a way ya kufind even an illegal one. And mara mingi when you want to do illegal stuff, you won't use a registered gun, utaendea ile illegal so that it can be traced back to you. So this is very risky business. I don't think it should be entertained by any means. Yeah, so that's my submission.
Asanti sana Ayabe. Ninataka kuwasha moto kidogo tu na vitu mbili nimeona, but just staying within the topics of today. Is just something interesting I just saw. I saw comments shared about an hour ago by the is it the Secretary General of the ODM movement, and he says whatever beef Museveni has with Babu Owino, I strongly object to the manner of his attack on a young Kenyan leader on our own soil. Kenya is a country ruled by law, and if there is any objectionable conduct on the part of Babu, there are diplomatic channels to convey that to the Kenyan authorities and let the law take its course. But to use a presidential podium to make such a grave accusation against the Kenyan is a no. Now, second thing, which is just as a side note, by the way, not really related completely, just I want to say as a side note. Has anybody noted that suddenly plaques are not existent in the place wherever Morora has been visiting? Interesting. Suddenly plaques are suddenly not there. They were there, but voodoo they were not. Collins Wanzao, good evening.
Good evening to you too.
Yes, talk to us.
Tuanze na hiyo Morara. I noticed one of his posts, and he said that ilipatiwanwa kama order by Rigathi Gachagua that all chiefs should take off those flags. Ili akifika anaenda tu anapata kitu empty. Haya, hiyo ni maji chini ya bridge. Raila to African Union, sina opinion sana kwa sababu venye tu IB amesema it won't have any impact to us Kenya. We've known this man since time immemorial. Mimi nilizaliwa nikampata, and I have never seen or known or heard of any impact Raila had. So it sits with me that hakuna impact atakuwa nayo either politically ama as a leader, ninaona ikiwa zero kwangu. So ni venye tu IB amesema hiyo tu ni bragging rights tumepata, tutakuwa tumepata, hakuna kitu ingine. NYS arms training, this is a very controversial matter kwa sababu the same way polisi wanatumiwa, I deem it NYS will be used in the same way. They will be rogue, watatumiwa venye wanataka, and will have too much body slang each and everywhere because someone was trained and armed and given an order. You know, in contrast to the army, uliona, we've seen the trend of the army. They are very much principled. Unless uniambie NYS itakuwa chini ya the army. Now that ninaweza sema confidently, at least we can at least vote for that. Lakini if they will be under the police, for me it's a very big no. Thank you very much. I'm done with my submission. Thank you.
Can I interject? Just a minute. I'm sorry. Can I interject? Just a minute. Pipi, can you hear me?
Seems tumeachwa huku peke yetu.
I think tuendelee bwana.
All
Whoever
right.
wanted to-
Wacha
whoever
tuende.
wanted- is here. Pipi,
I am here.
hata uji bwana.
Wamepeleka DK wapi sasa DK? They have taken DK and they always take DK at this time.
Pipi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Chotara, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Can I just interject just a minute on a rebate on just a point of information?
All right. And then we go to Rubicona.
Thank you so much. Just ask people, when was the last time NYS did teach arms? You know, I'm from NYS, nilifundwa. Just juicy too. You know, the problem today with Ruto pronouncing NYS nonsense is you can't trust his intentions. That's the issue. That's the only issue. But training NYS arms imekuwa juicy, just juicy. Yani we forget so easily. It's barely, from NYS, barely, not more than 15 years. Juicy imekuwa hapa. Kibaki ndiye ameitoa. It was basic training over there. When I left high school, nilimaliza high school 2009. The next year si tulikuwa tunaenda NYS. Kwani NYS imemaliza lini? Unless I'm mad. The problem is Ruto saying that watrainiwe saidi in the heated point we are in. It paints a different picture. That's the issue, in my opinion. But ingekuwa coming from clean hands is a good idea. But coming from Ruto's mouth is a bad idea, in my view. But mimi si criminal, but I know how to use it. I have many friends who were them in Shule Uko. But I can't say that conclusively that we have criminal. I can't say Atukwa na criminals. They are. And that's a different aspect. But by large, basic training of NYS, yeah, arms, basic, you know, it's basic unafunzwa hii kuhandle hii ukiweka gani in self mode ina behave hivi, ukisikia shot ikilia in self mode inakuanga hivi, raba inakuanga hivyo. Those are basics. But ni vile inatoka kwa mdomo mbaya. You know, you give a dog a bad name, hata ikiku protect mwizi akikuja, si utazama hiyo umbwa ndio Buruga. That's the aspect, and I think that's the doubt that's there. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Asante sana
you so much, Chotara. DK umerudi?
Nimerudi. Ashenzi wachana na wao. Hamunipeleki mahali. But thank you very much, Jotara, for saying that. I respect your opinion. I don't want to turn this into a podcast. And I respect where you're coming from, especially when you point out the possibilities of even knowing people that have these kind of skills and they're not necessarily criminal or they have a criminal mind to them. And that is not what I or some of the people I believe who's been speaking are trying to emphasize. I think the only thing that I'd like to say in that space there is that to everyone is their own. People in different spaces mentally with different things that they're going on in life with. And my personal opinion is this: I find hard to be able to just make a clear conclusion and just deal with the fact that if I'm here, you've given me certain aspects of firearms, and I'm not saying firearms automatically just make somebody a criminal, but I'm just thinking to myself, I'm jobless. I'm home 2 years, 3 years. I know one way or the other, mpaka hata labda najua mahali fulani Oyole 1960 place fulani kona fulani nikibonga na mse fulani naweza pata bunde. Na ninajua venye naweza change hapa na pale. I'm just thinking to myself, if I was not someone with strong values of where I come from, the family background, my values as an individual, as who I am, just knowing right and wrong and not crossing the other line because that line is very thin, then how sure are we that that knowledge would be safe with those people? And I think that's one of the things that I've ever had some of my friends who are in KDF tell me. It's one of the things that is at the back of the people that have trained you. They know they've given you these skills. And that is why when they court-martial you and whatever it is they deal with you in disciplinary elements as KDF, they are very cognizant of the fact that you are someone who holds skills that can be of good use, but at the same time also of another use, if of under influence of any other kind. I just wanted to put that out there, Chotara, just to keep that at the back of your mind. As we go forth, I want to go to one of the ladies who's jumped onto the speaker panel. Nimefeel ni kama leo testosterone nimekuwa kubwa na tumekuwa na ayabe na nothing hapa. So wacha nikimbie kwa Robbie Corner before niendelee na kila mtu mwingine. Ruby. Ruby, are you there?
Yes, asante sana Peter and DK, Peter I mean, and DK for hosting this and for bringing this topic, for giving me the opportunity to talk. I just want to say really quickly about the comment about Raila. For me, I think we have to follow the money when it comes to the AU. If you look at the AU or ECOWAS, who are the biggest shareholders? Is the Western world, is the Wazungus. And we have to know that right now, Kenya is being annexed. That's for sure, as it's being annexed as by the US. And Ruto is there to listen to what the US is saying. So whoever is leading Kenya right now is probably the ambassador of Kenya right now. If you look at the model, and maybe some of you have, and maybe if you're curious, look at how Panama is being run. Panama is a country being run by the U.S. ambassador, and the president of the country doesn't make decision for the country. It is the U.S. that make the decision, and everything that's being done is done through the president, but the ambassador makes the decision. So right now we know that Kenya, all these laws that are being given in Kenya based on, as an environmentalist, I always, well, I won't call myself environmentalist because I think it's been tainted. And as a nature enthusiast, I would say that right now everything that's being used is, climate change is being put into there. For Raila to come out and say that I quit politics, I think it was just a way it was pushed out there to say it in public and confess in public that this is not what I'm going to do in order for us to give you this. So for me, for sure, Raila is going to get this. seat based on the whoever, if you follow the money, and whoever has the biggest share in the EU. Even the African Bank, who has the biggest share, is the Wazungus. So they pull the trigger. They interject what they want to be done in Africa, and they will tell Raila what to do. So I won't expect much for Kenya. A lot of things to be done if Raila is there. In fact, I think it's going to be worse when it comes to the laws that we're going through right now. Like if you look at the livestock law, all these laws, all these things are being done by the U.S. And that is a way that if you follow the one world order and based on the climate change or the C40 cities. So for me, it is a game, and you see that Museveni is not even bothering to support Raila, because Museveni, they are going for Museveni. And Museveni knows that if Raila goes to the EU, they're going from 70. The only reason why the West hasn't gone from 70 is the situation in Congo and the situation in Uganda itself. But eventually, I believe that the whole of Africa is going to be taken over. And the model is being, they're trying to use Kenya as the kind of a rat lab to see if whatever their model they have, is it going to work on Kenya or not? Because everybody's feeling it in Kenya right now. If you look at the laws that are being put, you wonder, is Ruto drunk? No, it's not coming from him. Even Ruto grew up in Kenya. He knows that he cannot put the seed down. He grew up as a hustler, I mean, with his parents growing up seeds and the land law and the livestock law. And then what are you going to do with the idle people? Once you cannot farm, once you cannot do all these things, what are you going to do? And for me, Raila coming there and being a champion of climate change, I know Africa is gone. I know Africa is sold. And when it comes to justice, I would never expect Raila to fight for anybody for justice when Raila did not even fight for justice for his own son. His own son died. Until today, we don't know what happened to his own son. I don't know. Maybe somebody know. Maybe somebody can educate me on that. I love the man with a passion. I have supported Raila, and I think he's a great person. He just got something that always, you feel like, okay, some people have this presence, the energy, like you just feel like you're drawn to that person. I've been drawn to him, but then, I've been pulled back and say, okay, look at the facts. When you look at the facts, and it speaks for itself. So thank you so much. That's all I want to say. And I hope I'll join you again another time. Thank you.
Asante sana Ruby, thank you, and also thank you for being here with us. We do hope you can stay along with us as much as you can. Asante sana kwa everyone who's listening, and just to remind you, Home Run with PP is supported by you, the listener, as people always puts a light note and says it is what allows us to be able to say names bila kuogopa, of course respectfully, but bila kuogopa ni nani ambaye una call out. So if you like the work that you see here and you like what PP is doing here and the Home Run family, please feel free to support us. The teacher is at the top there. That's 0721948229. Jenani Anthony Boke. Support the Home Run with PP. We have our midweek sessions. For those who are listening to us the first time today, we have our weekly shows 4 to 9. That is Mondays to Friday, 4 to 9 p.m. And of course, be privileged to now be hosting the Home Run Extra show on Saturdays via my profile, that is at Kijana Together. That is from 8 p.m. till midnight. And looking forward to having you guys. Our Saturday session is a bit more, far much more of an open mic. We get to have the mics open for every one of us as a listener. For those who are mostly in the listening panel and don't get the chance or the opportunity to jump on and speak to us during the week. I do see Gunia, your hand up, and I will give you a chance to speak. But before I do, allow me, Gunia, let me give one of the other new speakers, and then I'll finish with you as I go to a fresh new set of speakers. So first, I will go to Jamhuri, and then I will. Then after that, we'll go to Dennis Ongeri. Jamhuri, do you hear me?
I can hear you, DK. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to appreciate the previous speaker. We really need to critically analyze happenings in our country in the international context. I am one of those people who believe that the thing that we were told happened on 12th December 1963 may have been no more than a scam. If you look at the way police behave today in our country, it is no different from how the colonial police were behaving. We don't think of police as security and safety. In fact, whenever I walk at night at home, I am more worried about running into the police than I am worried about running into thugs. Or equally worried.